Have you ever wanted to kill people with mind knives? Well, here we're in Saucy Subclasses, the best title for a series, and therefore, by proxy, the best series on this channel and YouTube. We're going to be talking about the Soulknife Rogue. The Rogue is the one class that I haven't talked about a subclass for except Artificer, because that's official now. That's not just Eberron anymore. I'm probably going to talk about an Artificer one next, so if you have any recommendations, maybe in the comments or in the Discord, which you can find in the description. But for now, we're talking about Rogue. I would like to warn you guys that I have played every single class except for a Rogue. I've played every other class in the game apart from a Rogue. And I know a lot about them because I've almost consistently throughout the entire D&D career that I've had a Rogue in my party, because they're like one of the most played classes for a reason. They seem pretty cool, but they're not for me. I do want to play one at some point though, just to see what it's like. I want to make kind of a stereotypical one, maybe like a Drow Rogue, just to be cool. But today we're talking about Soulknife. I know a decent bit about this one because one of my players is currently a Soulknife, and that's the main reason why I know a lot of their mechanics and stuff and how all of the puzzle pieces of the Soulknife fit together. Let's talk about what they do first. So Soulknives are people who have psychic blades. They're big old knives that do psychic damage, and they're better than any other using any other weapon, like full stop. So that's cool as hell. You're going to be doing a lot of psychic damage with this subclass, which was great until a certain point where the party was fighting a singular archmage who had mind blank on and was just immune to psychic damage. So that rogue was almost useless, just in the blink of an eye, because of that, because their main damage type is psychic, and they just had a short sword on them, and they're like, oh great, well I guess I gotta stab the guy with stone skin on. So definitely consider that when you're making this build. I think that the flavor is absolutely amazing though. They've toyed around this a couple times in like UA and stuff, but it never properly worked until now. And I think the 5e is starting to master their system and how things should be built to allow players to have more stuff. More recently, they've been adding a lot of things to do with proficiency bonus, which I'll get onto in a second, which is probably the best way of measuring stuff for 5e in my opinion. Let's talk about how someone becomes a Soulknife. It's a bit of a weird thing. Some can be born of like the Feywild and stuff, just kind of able to do it. That's kind of like the flavor around some of them. This might be like an innate thing, like a sorcerer. Every single subclass and class is just shitting on the sorcerer more and more, and I hate it. So you could have been like born with the powers, or maybe you've trained with it for years under like the Githyanki or Githzerai or something like that, and you've progressively learned how to harness your psychic abilities to throw knives made out of purple. That's just what I pictured psychic stuff as, purple. I think that's what Wizard of the Coast does as well with the image that they have here of a halfling soul knife. So let's talk about the features. Most of it is based around this third level feature that you get called Psionic Power, where you get psionic energy dice. The dice scale up, so you start with a d6 and they go to a d8 at level 5, a d10 at level 11, and a d12 at level 17, which you get to use these dice to do whatever you want. You have a number of these equal to twice your proficiency bonus, which is a great way of measuring it, honestly. It's a way of progression that continues on no matter what you do. If you don't invest in dexterity or intelligence, you're still going to have this go upwards, which can be a negative for stuff like multiclassing. I'm not too bothered by it personally, but you could go 3 levels into this and then keep going, and you'd still just build up the psionic energy dice that you have regardless of if you're investing in the class more, the subclass even. So most of the features of this subclass kind of rely on using your psionic energy dice, which at one point in the game, you can, every short or long rest, you can get one of them back as a bonus action, which is neat. And when you first take this subclass, you'll have 4. It will scale up to 6, 8, and then 12. So you could have 12 uses of this feature by the end of the game when you hit 17th level. So the 2 abilities that you get at 3rd level that you can use your psionic energy dice on are when you fail an ability check using a skill or tool of which you have proficiency, you can use a psionic energy die to roll and add it to the total. So let's say you do a stealth check and you're like, ooh, that's a 4, so that's a 17, and the DM's just like, It still fails, unfortunately, and you're like, no it doesn't! Now it's a 25! and they're like, you also only expend the die if you actually succeed the check. So if you roll it and you've still failed, you get to keep that use. So you can spam this like nobody's business until you just succeed everything, because that's what a rogue should do. What I was about to say is you should talk to your DM a little bit about being a little more transparent with the words success and failure. I know me as a DM personally, I sort of vaguely hint to whether they've succeeded or not, so it might confuse players at times. So I think that as a player, you should let your DM know, hey, this subclass needs me to know whether I failed things so that I can see if I can try and succeed them. So either make a habit of asking your DM if you failed or succeeded a check, and then the DM should get into some level of a habit of making it somewhat more obvious that you've failed or succeeded so that you can play around that with this feature. The second one is Psychic Whispers. There's a lot of mechanics here. You can use an action to link up with a number of creatures equal to your proficiency bonus and roll a psionic energy die, and whatever number you roll on the die, you have a telepathic link with them for the entire duration as long as they're within a mile of each other. If it can't speak any languages, it doesn't work, and any creature can end it at any time. You don't need to speak a common language to know each other either, which is pretty cool, so you can kind of link with a creature that seems friendly that you can't exactly talk to but looks like it's trying to communicate in a language. You get one free use of this at long rest, and then from there you have to spend the psionic energy dice to use it. I really like this because each of these are basically giving you small fail safes for not spending all of your resources and allowing you to be a bit more active with using all of them, right? So me and my battle master, I only really get to use a maneuver like every other combat because we're in a mega dungeon. So with this, I think consistently you could use one of these dice every encounter, along every turn, because you've got so many of them and they do so many cool things, and that is why I love this subclass, because it feels a lot more present than some other ones. The second one is your Psychic Blades. So you get to throw psychic knives, which is what the appeal of the subclass mainly is. Whenever you attack, you can instead choose to throw a mind knife at someone. It acts basically like a dagger with 60-foot range, and it deals a d6 psychic damage plus the dexterity or strength if you really wanted to use it that you use. So as if you were throwing a short sword with a 60-foot range and it did psychic damage instead. Capiche? It vanishes immediately and it leaves no mark on the target, which is great for flavor because a soul knife could like stab an important noble and boom, no trace. And you can also, after you've attacked once, use your bonus action to do it again, same way, except it's only a d4 instead of a d6 this time. Not that many drawbacks to doing it, and it gives a rogue an extra attack, which is something that I feel like, of all of the things that rogue gets, an extra attack is not always one of them. So it's always nice to give the rogue a little something to do on their turn other than roll once and hope. The 9th level Soulknife feature that you get kind of builds on the psionic energy dice more, where you can spend them to use these features. So if you miss with an attack with your Psychic Blades, you can roll a psionic energy die, and if it then hits, you use it because you add the number rolled to the attack, and if it misses, you don't use it apparently. Nice. As a bonus action, you can also manifest one of your blades, expend a psionic energy die and roll it, and you throw it up to a number of feet away equal to 10 times the number rolled, which can go up to 120 fucking feet at level 17. You then teleport to the space and the blade vanishes. This is a bonus action teleport right here that you can spam the hell out of by only spending one one psionic energy die. Fucking teleport, teleport, teleport. This is neat. It gives you more uses of your psionic energy die for more specific things. I like it. Your 13th level feature is Psychic Veil, where you go invisible for 1 hour. It ends early, immediately after you deal damage to a creature or you force them to make a saving throw, kind of similar to most things. However, you can still cast spells in this, and it lasts for an hour. You get one use of this a long rest, or you can use a psionic energy die to do it again. So you can become invisible, and granted you can't attack, but like if you deal damage to a creature or you force a creature to make a saving throw, which means if you're invisible, you sneak up on someone, you have advantage, you miss. You haven't dealt damage to someone, so then you can bonus action with your other side blade knife thing. This is beautiful. The last feature that you get here is 17th level, Rend Mind, which is rad as hell. So when you use your Psychic Blades to deal sneak attack, which it works with because the Psychic Blades count as finesse and light, you can force that target to make a wisdom saving throw, similar to how like Battlemaster or any class solves their DCs. It's the 8 plus proficiency bonus, and then whatever modifier the class is likely to be using, so Dexterity in this case. If the save fails, the target is stunned for 1 minute, and they can repeat the saving throws at the end of their turns, ending it on a success. You get 1 use of this, or you can expend 3 psionic energy die to do it again. This is Stunning Strike, except ranged. And only once a turn can you use it, because only once a turn can you proc sneak attack. So I think this is very balanced here in comparison to the Monk's Stunning Strike. You get 1 free use, and then you have to spend 3 of your limited resource to do it again, which at this level will be 12. So you're using the equivalent of like 1 out of 4 points to do it again. So this is a feature you won't want to use more than once or twice perhaps. However, I do appreciate that this gives rogues extra stuff to do on their turn, other than just I will cunning action and then do an attack or something, or the other way around. So yeah, I'm a fan of this. Stunning the target is great because that means that it can actually last for up to a minute, and if your creature does not have a very good wisdom saving throw, they're going to be stuck there for a while, which means you can just keep going until they're dead, which is great. However, fighting things at 17th level, they're likely to succeed this saving throw. Still means you do all the psychic damage and sneak attack, so there you go. In any case, hopefully this has made you guys consider perhaps using the Soulknife, because now I want to. Why do I do these subclass videos? It makes me want to not play my current player characters, even though I love them. Because then I read these and I'm like, oh, I want this instead. I have one in my games, and they have been very efficient at their job. They've been multiclassing into Bard, so we haven't properly been able to see everything that they can do yet, but I can't wait to see more of the scaling come into effect. In any case, thank you all for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe so you can see more of this stuff. We do a lot of videos here. You can join our Discord, which is in the description, for some discussion, or you can talk in the comments, because the algorithm likes that. Thank you for watching. See you in the next one. Bye!